we want to bring in our next guest, Kathleen Sexton. She's the program manager for the Clinton River Watershed Council. We thank you so much for being with us on the Oakland County MegaCast. Kathleen, for those that aren't familiar with the organization, just fill us in. What do you do and why is it important?
Well, first, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. And the Clinton River Watershed Council is an environmental nonprofit organization. We work to protect, enhance, and celebrate the Clinton River, its watershed, and Lake St. Clair. The entire Clinton River watershed is 760 square miles. It encompasses portions of 5 different counties in the Metro Detroit region and over 1.5 million people. So it's one of the most populated watersheds in the state. And so we do all sorts of different things, education, stewardship, watershed management, recreation, green stormwater infrastructure. We work with several different communities within the watershed as well as the general public to promote our programs and activities and protect the environment.
This is 89.3 WBLD Orchard Lake, 88.1 WBFH Bloomfield Hills. We're speaking with Kathleen Sexton, Program Manager for the Clinton River Watershed Council. During this crisis, during the pandemic, so many families, so many kids, so many people are now getting outdoors and taking advantage of what's in our back door. What educational things do you think they need to know about the watershed and it's important to our overall environment?
Well, yeah, you're definitely right. During this pandemic, people have really turned to nature. They have more time to experience nature, and they're also learning the importance of it and the healing properties and also education and stewardship aspects of it. So we've actually adapted a lot of our current programs to be able to still host them during the pandemic. We've started a new program called the Clinton River Quest, which is a self-led scavenger hunt. And so you can go to our website, you can sign up. It's only $15 to sign up, and you get a t-shirt, a map, and a guidebook. And there are several different activities to choose from. They range from paddling, visiting a lake, visiting a rain garden or other green stormwater infrastructure, identifying a native plant or an invasive species, all different things to complete, but it's getting people outdoors and engaged and also informing them about the importance of the environment and how they can take care of it.
Kathleen, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, we've also adjusted a lot of our typical in-person and indoor presentations to outdoor workshops. So we hosted an eco-acoustics workshop, which is the practice of listening to your environment to gauge its health, basically. We also just yesterday hosted a native and invasive plant workshop in Clinton Township, which was great. We got to go for a walk through the Nicholson Nature Center. We identified some native species, some invasive species, and talked about how some of these invasives can affect stormwater and flooding and the overall ecosystem and what people can do at home to help prevent those effects or mitigate those effects. And then we also have a native landscaping and seed ball workshop coming up next Friday. In addition to several other things happening, some cleanups in September, some trash runs, which is a canoeing cleanup, lots of things happening with the social distancing and masking and safety procedures in mind.
Kathleen Sexton with us. She is the program manager at the Clinton River Watershed Council with us on the Oakland County MegaCast. And Kathleen, every year the Clinton River Watershed Council has a very vibrant and lively Earth Day celebration. It's going to be a little bit different this year under the circumstances of COVID-19, but what is the council doing to celebrate this occasion?
Right. So Earth Day, it was actually the 50th anniversary of Earth Day this year. And so many people had big plans. We were very excited about it, but Earth Day was in April, which was kind of in the midst of a lot of this ramping up, the pandemic. There was a stay-at-home order. And so a lot of things were canceled, but one event that we have actually rescheduled is an event with West Bloomfield Parks and Recreation. It's hosted by West Bloomfield Parks and Rec at their nature center in West Bloomfield. I think it's on Walnut Lake Road. It's going to be September 10th from 4 to 7. It's a family-friendly activity. There's all kinds of different activities going on related to education about the environment and stewardship. Pre-registration is required because we're limiting numbers and also asking that people come as a family and visit different activities and tables as a family. Also wear masks and socially distance from people outside of your household. But we're very excited that we're still going to be able to celebrate that 50th anniversary this year.
We've had amazing weather this entire summer. Do you think that that's helped spur some excitement amongst young kids about our environment? And are you hoping that it leads to some environmentally friendly children growing up and getting into your line of work?
Absolutely. We have had amazing weather, which is awesome. And I think that getting young people involved in the environment and stewardship and educated about the importance of that is extremely valuable. I know that myself, I became somebody that was concerned about the environment at a young age, and I know many of my colleagues or people in this line of work also have. One of our programs is called Stream Leaders, and so we actually work with schools and we take K through 12 students out into the watershed. We get them in waders, we get them in the river, we get them collecting data, collecting live bugs from the river, and using that data to gauge the water quality of a specific resource or water resource or surface water in their community. Because we couldn't do that this spring and most likely not this fall, we've actually, because schools were closed for in-person schooling, we've actually come up with a Stream Leaders online program, which is a great way to get kids involved and get them educated and excited about water resources in their community, and also learn about ways to protect them, and hopefully recruit them into this line of work too, because we need more stewards.
So we are speaking with Kathleen Sexton. She's the program manager at Clinton River Watershed Council. How's it been for you and members of your staff during this? How have you had to change what you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have adjusted a lot of the ways that we work. Like everybody, at the beginning of March, we immediately all started working from home. Luckily, we're all pretty much set up to do that. We have a VPN. We can get all of our digital files remotely. We are pretty good with virtual meetings. We've transferred a lot of our meetings to virtual meetings, as well as our presentations. So most people are continuing to work from home. We do have a small staff. There's only 7 full-time people and 2 part-time staff. So occasionally we can go into the office. We make sure everything is staggered. We've been cleaning everything constantly. We stay 6 feet apart. We wear a mask. So just making sure that we're all super careful, because we want to be able to keep continuing to do this work. And knock on wood, everybody's stayed healthy so far.
That's good to know. You know, we've seen the positive impact of COVID-19 across the country from people having to stay home, and it's had the positive impact on the environment in Italy and other parts of the country. Are you seeing any benefits like that here locally?
I do see, just from a personal standpoint and also talking with friends and neighbors, using less gas, driving less, walking places, and also just kind of realizing what you really need and what you don't. You know, you're not necessarily going out to shop just to shop. You're really sticking to the resources that you need. And so I think people are getting a little more mindful about their purchases and their driving and their resource use overall, which is awesome.
Kathleen Sexton with us. She's the program manager at the Clinton River Watershed Council with us on the Oakland County MegaCast. Coming up, you have more Adopt a Stream monitoring that the Watershed Council will be holding. Explain what that is and what Adopt a Stream can be engaged with by the community.
Absolutely. So Adopt a Stream is our citizen science water quality monitoring program. So we recruit volunteers. We train them on how to monitor streams and tributaries within the watershed. They form a team, usually anywhere from 2 to 5 people. And then twice a year, once in the spring and once in the fall, we go out and we monitor different areas of the stream. And it's all volunteer groups. We also have staff do monitoring as well. But it really helps us get some awesome, we have baseline data going back 20 years, and it helps us get lots of boots on the ground all across the watershed. Like I said, it's a 760 square mile watershed with only 7 staff, so it's a lot more efficient to train volunteers on how to collect this data, and that way we can keep an eye on what's going on. If there's any changes, we know that maybe that's something that we need to look into a little more. And we also, if we're looking at the water quality, we can target areas that need help.
What advice? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, we have a training coming up next Saturday, so you can visit our website if you're interested in becoming a volunteer for Adopt a Stream. And then the monitoring date is always the first Saturday in October. I think it's the 4th this year. I should have wrote that down.
No, that's actually good, because it was kind of going into my next question is, if I'm a parent and I want to get my kids involved, but I don't want them to be near other people, can they even go out locally, maybe in their own backyards? Do you have that information on your website on maybe how they can organize it?
Yes, absolutely. So we have information on the Stream Leaders page of our website. It has instructional videos, and they're only 2 to 3 minutes long. I know that any longer than that, people sometimes don't watch the entire thing, but they're really interesting. It talks about how to do monitoring in your own backyard. And then there's also interactive modules. So there's self-led modules that kind of, they're like a fun PowerPoint basically, but you can go through it and learn how to do the monitoring at home as well. And if you want to get involved with volunteering, all of our volunteer activities right now are any meeting that we have is less than 10 people. It's always outdoors and socially distanced. And we have a lot of activities that you can sign up as a family. And that way you don't really have to interact with other people outside of your household just to make sure everybody's staying safe. So you can visit our website or email contact@crwc.org to ask for more volunteer opportunities.
Yeah, I know spring and fall is really your big time for so many of these projects and these cleanup projects. Did that go by the wayside, or do you think it's going to start to pick up? And, as people kind of do a volunteer cohort per se.
Mm-hmm. So we actually were able to do a lot of our events in the spring and the fall just with changes. So we still held our River Day native plant sale. Instead of having it set up in our parking lot where people can come and buy plants, everything was pre-ordered, and we had their orders all set up. So they came on the day of. We put their order in the back of their vehicle, and they went on their merry way, and they had their native plants. So we've been able to do a lot of things just with adaptations. And so, for example, we have a cleanup coming up on September 19th. It's called the Clinton Cleanup. And this is an event we host every year where volunteer groups get together all across the watershed. And we have several different volunteer groups going out at once. But it's, instead of one giant group, it's several small groups. And so once again, it's something that can be done safely. The registration for that has closed, but if somebody's still interested in volunteering, our Clinton Cleanup Guide is distributed at the beginning of every September, and that shares different cleanups that you can attend and help clean up the watershed. Just show up, you'll get a grabber, a plastic bag, some gloves, a mask, hand sanitizer, a t-shirt, everything you need to conduct a cleanup safely and get involved in keeping our watershed clean.
Before we let you go, we've seen so many organizations and businesses having to adapt during this crisis and this pandemic. Anything that your organization did that you think will remain once this is over?
I definitely think that transferring a lot of our presentations to virtual presentations and or outdoor workshops is going to become a permanent staple for us. We've actually gotten more attendance to some of our virtual presentations, which is great. And also the outdoor workshops, this is something that we've done before, but really making it a priority is great because you're really getting the hands-on education. You're taking a walk or you're outside immersed in the actual science and the activity that we're doing versus looking at a PowerPoint presentation, which they both have their benefits, but really the outdoor workshops have been super successful and we've been able to conduct them safely. So I feel like that's something that we'll continue to do.
That's awesome. So we're all learning and we're all growing and taking away things that have worked best during this pandemic. Kathleen Sexton, Program Manager, Clinton River Watershed Council, we thank you so much for taking the time to be with us on the Oakland County Mega Cast.